Pretty said this is her last fight because I feel like she has so much more left in the tank. But man, has it been a privilege to watch her throughout these years, to watch her in the Olympics both times, to watch her professional career, and just watch how she never quits and she fights the best. And I've been able to be, ringside to a lot of her fights here in the U.S. And she's done so much for women's boxing. So I am sad to see it's her last fight. But I'm also happy that she's getting her dream to fight at Croke Park in front of 90,000 people. That is such a huge thing. And I'm happy that she's going out the way that she wants to go out.
And Claressa, will you be there in person on September the 5th in Croke Park in Dublin?
I would love to be there. Absolutely. I would love to cheer her on her last fight and continue to carry the torch. It's not many girls who are skilled like Katie and skilled like myself in boxing. And I say that humbly because I respect all the girls who are on the pound for pound list, but when I tell you that Katie is really one of a kind, I really mean that. She's one of a kind. Her skills are superb. She's explosive, she's fast, and she's very smart inside the ring. And you just don't see that in women's boxing. And then you have me, who I'm just as skillful, but like I said, Katie has so many gifts, and it just been so great to watch her over these past couple of years.
And Claressa, we all know you are undefeated, 18 fights and no losses for you. Katie, on the other hand, 25 fights and one professional loss. But in that way, did that loss show a bit about her character as well in terms of the rematch, how it was so decisive, how she went about her business? And maybe that first time, did she maybe nerves get the better of her first time in Tree Arena? Do you think maybe she's learned an awful lot from that experience as well? Because second time around, it was very emphatic.
Katie is a conqueror, and she's very smart. I do believe that, yeah, it's possible to beat Katie, right? But you only going to beat her one time. And she's proven that. And to see her, I think the fight was against Chantel Cameron,
Yep.
the fight that she lost, and then she came back. Usually when girls lose fights to girls, they're not going to rematch them. So that shows her heart, and that shows her determination to show that she's one of the best. And I was able to witness that too. And like I said, Katie is just really one of a kind, and it shows that her character is that hey, she like she can be down and she can lose, but she only be down for a little while. And some I think is very impressive is the first fight with her and Amanda Serrano was a very close fight, very close fight. Me looking at the fight ringside, I said, you know what, this fight 6-4 going Katie way, but I wouldn't have been mad if they would have said a draw, 5-5. But to see how she handled the second fight and how she handled the third fight, it shows that Katie is a warrior. She's smart. She sticks to the game plan. She figures it out, and she's always going to be very very hard to beat.
Hmm. And Claressa, I know this is going to be the biggest payday in Flora Pili's career by a long way. I mean, she's stepping into what is going to be a cauldron. I mean, for any boxer, it's an intimidating when you have to fight maybe overseas, but this is an entirely different level. She's has so maybe a few fights, 12 total. She's undefeated. She has to be respected. No one really noted on the resume. Is this maybe Flora Pili thinking this is a chance to fight one of the all-time greats? But realistically, how does she go into that atmosphere where she's going to be a small fish in a massive pond? She's going to have absolutely nobody probably cheering her on. It's going to be a cauldron noise. To take on a fight like that, you have to be a very brave woman. And dare I say, is it the right fight? Is she too inexperienced to go to take on Katie Taylor in a fight like that? And would there be other people like we were mentioned, Lauren Price, Michaela Meyer, who might have been better equipped?
I think that there are plenty of challenges for Kate. I mean, for Katie Taylor before she goes out if she wants to. But like I said, with her doing all that she's done in women's boxing, she can go how she wants to go out. I'm not really familiar with her opponent, but I know you mentioned she has 12 fights. She's inexperienced and everything. Listen, anybody who's getting inside the ring with the great, they all hope to get the upset, no matter where they're fighting at. Whether the whole 90,000 is cheering for Katie or cheering for the other girl. Um, Ireland is a fight town. So I believe that this girl is coming to show up and hopefully take over the torch.
Mm. And Clarissa, in terms of you mentioned about the respect and mutual respect. I remember seeing Terence Crawford fight Canelo Alvarez and the press conference and the mutual respect Terence and Canelo had for each other. There's always been something that you and Katie always had. There's appreciation. Katie shows you appreciation. You show Katie appreciation. There's never, well, my skills are better than her or your skills are better than her. It almost feels like that. There's a mutual camaraderie like Terence and Canelo had.
Absolutely. And I respect Katie's character. She's a believer in Jesus Christ, and me and her had plenty of talks in the DM and even in person just about our walks with God. And I just love that for her. And she's true to who she is. Whoever she is to me in the DM and behind the screen, she's that same person to me on TV, face to face, doing her interviews. She doesn't change. And same thing is here. And that's why the respect is so mutual. And I'm not a hater. I can look at Katie and be happy that she can do things that I can't. That's what makes us different. And I can do things that she can't. But it's just like we both respect that what we can do, is very extraordinary. What we've done is very extraordinary. And across the pond, women's boxing would not exist without Katie Taylor. And here in America, women's boxing would not be where it's at without Claressa Shields. And that's something that we can mutually agree on. We've been trailblazers for forever. We were in the Olympics together. We won Olympic gold medals together. And I just always wished her the best. And just knowing that she's a great person. And when you're a great person, you have a great career.
And Clarissa, you mentioned that you have put women's boxing on the map, so has Katie Taylor. But I don't want to sound arrogant in terms of, because I know an awful lot about women's boxing, but there are people out there that probably don't know as much as what they should know about women's boxing compared to male boxing. And obviously, they know your name and they know Katie's, and Katie's is probably heading away now in terms of that. So people aren't aware of these other boxers under below ye. Is it time for those other boxers if to take up the mantle now and make themselves household names like you did, like Katie did in terms of women's boxing for the future?
Well, when it comes to being a household name, that comes with knowing your brand, owning your brand and sticking with that. So I like to say that my brand is beauty and strength. Like I'm a great boxer. I'm very strong. I'm a big woman and stuff like that. But I also show the beauty side, the athletic side, the fitness, the makeup, the hair, all that goes together to make the brand bigger. And I make myself very accessible to my fans, right? In the comments, DMs, asking for advice, whatever, I'm there. Plenty of people have hit me up and say, hey, I'm getting ready to have my pro debut. You have any tips for me? And I'll send them my tips. And then they'll come back and say, hey, I won, or hey, I lost, or hey, it was a close fight. But people reach out to me, and that is how your brand gets built. You have to first know what your brand is and actually build that and give the fans something to look at. Like, I hate to say it, but just being a great boxer isn't going to build um anybody's brand. Like, yeah, you can be a great boxer, but you have to have something else, and that's just how it is. And that's what I've discovered, and that's what I lean into. And I think the other girls who are coming up, we have some girls that can fight. Like, I'm very fond of Caroline Dubois. Michaela Merritt, we came up together. We got Gabrielle Fondora, who's, killing it. I think these girls have a lot of potential to be household names. They just have to, one, fight the best, um, be more active on social media with like their fans and what they actually represent. Like, who are you? We know who you are in the ring, right? Because we can kind of see it and watch your fights and we're entertained. But outside the ring, who are you? What do you stand for? Do you do charity events? What else do you do? And I think that can make you more relatable, and then it can help you get more fans. And that's what all we need is fans, people to come put butts in seats. And them to support us and buy tickets. That's why I love my fans so much. They come, they buy tickets, they're online going to bat for me, they're encouraging me, and that's because I'm accessible and I'm building my brand that way. So these other girls have that same opportunity. It's just about if they're going to do it or not.
And Claressa, we all know the importance of a promoter in boxing, and obviously
Yeah.
your promoters in the USA. But in terms of Eddie Hearn and Matchroom Boxing and Eddie's relationship with Katie Taylor, do you think Katie would have gotten to where she was without Eddie in a way? Do you think it's Batman and Rodham tandem? And what have you had many interactions with Eddie Hearn yourself?
Well, I would say that I've always been with the, what they call a small time promoter and Dimitri Salita. And what I will tell you is it only takes one person to believe in you. It only takes one person to put some money behind you. Only takes one person to see your skill and see your future with you and see the bigger picture for you to make it. And I think that Demetrius Salita was that guy for me, and Eddie Hearn is that guy for Katie. And I believe that both me and Katie could have still became household names without Eddie Hearn, without Dimitri, but it just would have took longer. Everybody needs a good promoter. I mean, Don King had Mike. I mean, Mike Tyson had Don King. He did what he did, but Don King spoke very highly. He pushed Mike Tyson. He promoted the mess out of him. So we all need somebody to believe in us. And I think that um, Katie probably told Eddie Hearn the same thing I told Dimitri. And what I told Dimitri was, give me the best fights. That's all you got to do. You put me in there with the best, I'll do the rest. And I feel like Katie had that same story. Hey, put me in there and put me in there with the best. Believe in me, and I'll show you why you should pay me and put me on TV. So I think Eddie and Katie are a great match, and he's always there supporting her. He's very into the fights to where when she's being announced as the winner in a close fight, he's cheering because he had that emotional connection. He's really her friend. And same thing with me, with me and Dimitri. Like, I think that that's what you need. You need a promoter who sees you as a friend and really respects you and cares about you and care about your well-being. I think this may be the end of Katie inside the ring, but this will not be the end of Katie and Eddie Hearn. They may end up doing a podcast together or something, or they're always going to be connected in some way.
Yeah.
She may work the corner when he fight against somebody. You never know.
That is, you mentioned a great point as well, because we always see some of the greats take up roles in terms of promoting boxing and giving their expertise. I think about Roy Jones Jr. and all the analysts work he did and commentary work as well. Is it important as well, yourself and Katie, in terms of that you're calling these big women fights and even male fights in the future in terms of diversity, in terms of your knowledge, your skills? Obviously, I take a fight like Errol Spence Jr. and Tim Saizu, for example. You could obviously give your expert analyses of that. So could Katie Taylor in terms of that.
Yeah.
It's very important, these big personalities, that they stay
Yes.
in boxing after they might be finished in the ring, not maybe just go away
Well,
from.
absolutely. I think every fighter who retires needs to have some type of connection to boxing because one, it's a very hard sport to walk away from. You see so many guys retire and come back because you miss the lights, you miss the crowds, you miss people cheering for you and booing for you. Like you miss it. And I think that if you tie yourself to the being a commentator or training fighters or being in someone's corner, I think it can kind of help you walk away gracefully from the sport. Like I like how an example is Andre Ward, right?
Yeah.
He left the sport. He beat Kovalov. He said, that's it. And he left undefeated with his money. He got his podcast and he's doing his thing. And that's walking away gracefully. He still trains. He commentates fights. He got his own podcast talking to fighters. He's at fights. He's very involved. And that makes it easy for you just to be like, all right, I did what I did. Now you have to respect those that's coming up and give them their props and help build them and give your expertise on your career on how it can help them. So I think that Katie's going to be very, very involved. I think she's if she doesn't commentate, she's going to be training little girls or training little boys too. Like she's going to be training them. And even me, like I do summer camps for kids and I train kids and stuff now. So boxing is always going to be a part of us because it's been with us for so long.
And probably one of the final questions before I ask you about your own plans, Claressa. Can you really tell when a boxer is sort of winding down? Because I'll just give you an example of this. Say in 2018, Katie had 4 fights, 2019, three, then two, then three again, 21. But 2022 onwards, been two, two, 2024, one, 2025, one, 2026, one. So are the signs there for a while? Is there always a bit of a signs in terms of how fighters, many fights they fight in a year as things go down that when they're
No,
gradually declining? No?
no, because sometimes get in the way of fights, so you can't always, let that dictate like, oh, Terrence was fighting 5 years and having one fight a year. Like all of us fighters would like to fight more than one time a year. Sometimes it's just circumstances. And even myself, like I fight twice a year, and then if I get lucky, I can fight three. But no, I think retiring comes with, well, when I can only speak from a great point of
Yeah.
view. And I say that with Katie, I mean, say it to me all the time. Like, what else can you accomplish?
Mm.
Like, how many more belts can you win? How many more divisions? Who is it out there for you to beat? At certain weight classes. And when you don't have an answer, and you're like, well, I would have to go here to make this fight, and you see all these. It's like when you're so great, you're like, listen, I've done enough, and I feel like Katie is leaving out the game knowing or feeling that she's done enough. And I think it's her prerogative. Not that she's older now or she's slowing down or she's not as athletic. She has looked great her last few fights. She's looked great. Um, I just think it's just about a timely thing. Like for me, my number is 38. I want to retire from boxing at 38. That's my number. But can it come sooner? Absolutely. It's all about how I feel, and what I want to accomplish. So it's not a thing about how many fights a year. I don't think that determines somebody getting ready to retire, because some of these world champions right now fight one time a year.